Okay, you came in 1967. You were traded by a regular, one of the original 6 teams, to an expansion team in St. Louis. What were you thinking?
Well, I was very happy because with the New York Rangers, when I was there for up and down for 3 years, never got to play as a regular, and you wanted to play. So when the expansion come, any team, I wanted to go to any team and get a chance to be a full-time player.
And because of the way the expansion worked, all the new teams, the 6 new teams, were in one division, the original 6 in the other. So we knew that one of the expansion teams was going to be in the Stanley Cup Finals. You guys did it 3 consecutive times. But
we never won. We didn't have a parade.
Never won a game. You lost 4-0, although it was very competitive, a lot of one-goal games.
Well, you know, you always say at the end, it's you know, you like to win the Stanley Cup. That's what you want to do. But we always said, if you don't win it, be the team that loses it, because you're right up there.
Well, that's probably true. Now, the Sid Solomon, Senior or Junior, and Sid III owned the team in those days. He treated you guys like princes, didn't he?
Well, it was the greatest. The Solomon family, you know, that owned the St. Louis Blues here, probably the greatest owners. You know, we came in here, the Solomons, you got to go to their house. They had movies. They invited you to their house. At the end of the year, they would take all the players, all the kids to Florida for a vacation. Just wonderful people and great people.
Your brother Barkley was such a great player. It was so tragic when he died so young of cancer.
Well, you know, I'm up here right now, and I think my brother Bark, he was a better player than I was, and he was a model for me.
There's no doubt about that.
But I was here first.
That's true.
But I'd like to say here, too, talk about my brother Bark. My brother Bark's wife is here, Helen Plager, and his son, Kelly.
Who was the great rivalry in those days for the Blues?
Well, you know, we learned it was Chicago.
Oh, really?
But it wasn't our big rivalry. When we came in here, I hated players on Pittsburgh. Because you played in the minor leagues and you played, there was so many players in Pittsburgh, the Hextalls, Bugsy Watson, and you hated them. And you hated the Philadelphia Flyers, Dornhofer and that. So we were here and, you know, let's get, that's our division, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. But we learned very fast in here what Chicago is to St. Louis, because everybody hates Chicago. Chicago this, and we'd look at their lineup and, you know, really there wasn't that many players on there that I didn't like. But our first game in St. Louis, there was a football game in the afternoon. The Cardinals were playing football Cardinals. In the afternoon, we're playing Chicago. People from Chicago took the trains, drove in here, went to the football game in the afternoon. I think they all drank all day at the football game. The hockey game that night, Blackhawks and the Blues. Early in the first period, it's the first time ever that the referee, I'm out there for the face-off, we are, and blows a whistle, and you look at him, and he points, he backs up and points up, and it wasn't 2 people, 3 people fighting in the stands, it was the whole section. So, and that was it. You went in there and said, we gotta hate this Chicago.
Yeah, some of those Chicago games at the old arena and Chicago Stadium were really something.
Well, it's just the 2 cities had it, and then we soon learned that Chicago became our #1 enemy.
All right, one of the great characters of the team is Noel Picard. Now, I know I've asked you this before, but I contend you are the curator of Noel Picard stories. And tell us your favorite Noel Picard story.
Well, Noel's a big...
Let me set this up. Noel was a big, tough Frenchman who had a little trouble with the English language, even though he was on the Blues broadcast after he quit playing. So he had a little trouble, you know, with the English.
We had trouble there, and Noel always used to say, you know, he'd point over there, he says, that Bobby Plager there, you know, he's my roommate for 4 years. And then I had to correct him there. I says, Noel, I roomed with your suitcase for 4 years. But no, he was a big, and we used to go to the banquets. Every time you went, I'd tell him Noel's going to speak first, so every once in a while, clap, smile, laugh, and I'll come on after and I'll tell you what Noel said. But we had in fact, the Solomons, it was Sid Solomon III, and Noel with his accent, French accent, couldn't say like the third, it was turd.
Sid the Turd, yeah.
Sid the Turd. And he would get on the radio and he'd say, my guess at the end of the second period will be Sid the Turd. So Sid told him, Noel, please, just call me Sid. Don't say Sid the Turd. So he was getting ready the next time, and he was practicing, and he says, and my guest tonight will be Sid 2 + 1. And I had to play with him.
And finally, his house was on fire?
Oh, yeah, and the one time we were all over at his house sitting down and having a few drinks, and go to the back, and I look, and there's a fire at the back. So I said, Noel, you better get back there. Your house is on fire here. So he goes back, he looks, he comes running in, phones 911, and he goes, quick, they said, can we help you? He says, yeah, could you come out here, quick, hurry up, my house, that's on fire. And I said, well, okay, well, don't panic, how do we get there? And he goes, you don't have that red truck no more?
Finally, last question. Let's talk a little current hockey. This is a very, very good Blues team, isn't it?
This is a great hockey team. I mean, right from the owners have gone out here, and whatever the coaches and the general managers wanted, they've got. So this team, farm club, it's as good as any team in the league, maybe a little better. And I mean, I'm excited about this year. They've gone out and we've had some great players. We got the Stastny here, a local player from St. Louis that graduated Chaminade here. And some of you don't know the thing I liked about Stastny when they got him. First of all, he was a free agent. The owners went out and signed him. We didn't have to give up any draft choices, any of our young prospects.
But you had to take a salary cut, didn't you?
Well, I'm used to that. I mean, I played here the first year. That's when we weren't getting paid. In fact, they asked me, Mr. Solomon asked me the one time, he says, Bob, he says, after 3 years, he says, what do you do with your money? And I go, well, seriously, Mr. Solomon, it's 1/3 on booze, 1/3 on women, and that other third I spend foolishly.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Plager.
Thank you.